This week kicks off our very first Fridays in the Field segment, a series highlighting different aspects and areas of Nebraska agriculture. I'm Shalee Peters on the Rural Radio Network, and the producer I'll be checking in with throughout the growing season this year is Central Nebraska farmer Ben Peters. Peters grows primarily corn and soybeans near Worms, Nebraska and Merrick County. I caught up with him recently to get an update on where he's at with this season.
Yeah, I started planting the 17th of April. I think I was done with corn the 27th, if I remember right. Maybe it was the 24th. This field that we're in now, I planted the 19th of April. I would say with the weather and the rain and everything, we had I think 4 inches of rain last week. This corn is probably a week behind where it should be. It's been pretty yellow. After the last couple of days, it's starting to green up a little bit and it's starting to grow. So I think it should straighten out here in the next week or so. Yeah, I just think we're behind already just from the cold weather. I would really like to be farther along right now. Some of this corn, as early as it got planted, we should be cultivating and side dressing already, and I'm going to hold off on that for another week or so. The issue with that is the weeds haven't stopped growing. The corn stopped growing, but the weeds are still going pretty strong. So I think we're going to be fighting weeds the rest of the year.
Peters goes into what it's like farming in this part of the state, what crops are grown, and what the soil is like.
I just grow corn and soybeans. I've done non-GMO corn. There is some popcorn in the area, and you get east of here a few miles. There is some seed corn also, but it's mostly commercial corn and soybeans. Around this area, we go anywhere from sand to sandy loam. There's some silt loam, and then we've got some alkali. So drainage, in some places drainage is an issue, and in some places we're too well drained, I guess you would say.
This part of Nebraska is one of the most heavily irrigated areas in the nation, and Peters says on his farms and those surrounding him, several different types of irrigation are used.
Yeah, so we've got just a couple 100 acres of ridge-tilled stuff that is gravity irrigated. A lot of this ground was leveled back in the 50s and 60s. And is still watered that same way. There are a lot more pivots now. There is some drip irrigation, so there's kind of all different variety of irrigation, but we do have some gravity irrigation and pivot irrigation. Not very much dry land here.
Peters says since he started over a decade ago, he's branched out and utilized different farming practices to best suit the differences between fields. He talks about the benefits he's seen since doing so.
Yeah, I ridge till, strip till, and no-till. I ridge till the gravity irrigated stuff and the low ground that doesn't drain well, and I strip till corn on corn in the sandier ground and under pivots, and then I no-till beans into corn stalks. I would say some of the soil that I've no-tilled, the longest that I've no-tilled anything, I think this would be the 5th year. It's starting to get a little more mellow. And what I like about no-tilling beans into standing stalks is I don't have the weed pressure in some places. And I also am able to hold moisture a little bit better in some of the sandier soils, and also don't have to worry about blowing. In our sandier soils, if you get the ground too bare, whenever the wind blows in the spring, inevitably you're going to have some ground blowing. So it seems the strip till corn on corn has been really good that way too. It leaves quite a bit of residue, so don't have to fight some of those issues quite so much.
Finally, I asked him for his outlook on the growing season, given his decent start and the recent weather.
Not as optimistic as I did when I started planting, because that was, we got the corn planted in a good time. I think I started planting soybeans the 5th of May. We got a rain in between corn and bean planting. The beans all look really good so far. The corn has struggled a little bit early. I think, in general, it should be a good year. The biggest thing here is hail and wind. As long as we can stay away from that, I think we'll be okay. It's kind of hard to tell this early, though.
Make sure you stay tuned to the Rural Radio Network as we head into this growing season with our Fridays in the Field series. Each week, we'll feature a grower from a different part of the state to update us on how their season is going. We'll catch up with Ben a little further into his growing season next time, but for now, I'm Shalee Peters on this week's Fridays in the Field for the Rural Radio Network.